Council, staff, ladies and gentlemen, it is 6 p.m. House of Commons time, so we can start this meeting. Members of the public are invited to attend our council meeting at 153 McKellar Street, or they can join us electronically. Any failure of our electronic system does not have any effect upon the decisions of council. Before we begin this meeting, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. By acknowledging the land upon which we meet as the traditional territory of First Nations people, who have a long-standing relationship with the land, the water, and the regions of Southwest Middlesex. We convey our respect to our Indigenous neighbors and thank them for their contributions to our culture, community, our past, and partnerships of the future. Council, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 3 on the agenda. Confirmation of the agenda has been circulated. Are there any additions? Yes, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. Yes, I'd like to, under new business, talk about the Southwest Middlesex quarterly newsletter.
Okay, we'll get that on there, okay? Is there a recommendation to accept the agenda as amended? Councilor Mink, Councilor McCollum, all in favor? Carried. Delegations and presentations. This is always fun. And Doug Hodges, Doug, if you could come up to that chair right there and just be comfortable and sit down there, we're going to bestow a medal on you here. Doug, it's truly a privilege to nominate seniors, and from the color of your hair, we know that you are past that 65 mark, and we are just absolutely delighted to present you with a provincial honor of being an extremely valuable citizen, a volunteer citizen, a senior citizen of Southwest Middlesex. Doug, I've known you for a long time. I don't know how a guy that can talk so slow and enunciate every word gets so much done. And you do. It is just a privilege to be with you at a meeting. I see your work in theatrical areas, with the acting crew, the car shows, the CCC meetings I go to occasionally. And if there's any event, and I attend it, you usually are in the audience or participating in the administration of it in some way. I like your style, Doug. You're quiet, but you get a lot done. And you are gifted in another sense. You're not just a facilitator, Doug. You are a guy that gets his hands on the project. We all know your carpentry skills, your engineering skills, although you don't have the ring. I know you have many of those. And we truly are blessed to have you as a resident of Southwest Middlesex. The province has recognized you, Doug. 2025 Senior of the Year Award, presented to Duncan Hodgins by the municipality of Southwest Middlesex, in recognition of your outstanding contribution after age 65 that strengthens and protects our community. It is signed by Raymond Cho, Minister of Seniors and Accessibility, the Honorable Edith Dumont, Lieutenant Governor, and Head of Council, Al Leahy. And Duncan, I don't wear this chain of office very often, but I do it when there is a photo op, and I think we're going to have one very shortly. So if you could come up here and I could present you with this, and if you have the patience to let a few people get their phones up and take a few pictures. Thank you very much. In closing, Doug, I would like to say one other thing, is that we know that there are many others in Southwest Middlesex that deserve recognition as well. And I think this is a way forward, and I urge all councillors, deputy mayor, and myself to keep our eye out and recognize those like you who are deserving of this award. And I can assure the municipality that there will be more forthcoming certificates presented in the future. Okay, thanks very much. Well deserved. Here, I'll give you that. You can hold it up. We'll get between the flags there. Yeah.
If you don't mind.
No. Just look up here. Yeah, I bet you we'll get a social media here. Okay, Dr. Thanks very much. Well deserved.
Thank you. These guys over here. I don't want to ignore it. I think everybody knows my parents.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that makes a
No, you deserve all the credit in the world.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Oh, Mike, I appreciate you looking after it. That's a good deputy mayor, looking after his people. Yeah.
Celebrate with
And again, thank you, Doug, for well deserved. Bye-bye. Thanks for coming. Delegation is continuing 4-2. Peter Budd, Director of Benford Incorporated, and Tanya Mackey, Principal, FIA Project, Consulting Limited, Proposed Wind Project Briefing. It's your turn at the guest chair, and we'll drag another chair up there as well, okay? So, yeah, and the staff will make sure that you're comfortable. Peter, thank you very much for coming. And,
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, councillors. Thank you for the interested public and any press that may be here as well. We're happy. It's already good. Can I just stand?
yes, by all means, whatever is comfortable for you.
It is easier.
Yep.
I'm going to glance down here a little bit once in a while, but I'll just do my best. Thank you. So I'm maybe a little bit local. I have a place on Norwood Drive, and I've grown up since I was 7 years old, part-time in Napier. And the big town of Napier, yep. We stayed the store so far, and I've been involved in the electricity sector for many years, since Ontario Hydro used to be. And we created Hydro One and OPG at the time. And I've been watching closely what's gone on with the sector, of course, for that period of time. And it just struck me that the opportunities are coming around again. And so I just went to a few of my talented friends and asked if they would think about becoming an early stage development company to help the local municipalities through whatever may be their decision to consider renewable energy if they so chose. And so we put together a company called Ben4. And I think you probably all had the briefing, so I don't intend to look at it slavishly and read it or anything. I would like to just speak to the highlights, if that's okay. And we can get into it. And obviously, we're delighted to have all the questions from you. So go ahead. But I would like to introduce Tanya Mackey, who works with me closely, and I've known Tanya over 20 years. And Jim Salmon, who's together with me, and he is a wind expert. So he can answer any of your questions. He actually lays out the wind farms, he takes into account all of the provincial setbacks. He figures out all the calculations for any kind of noise or creeks or everything that you would do to put together a wind project. That's what Jim does. So but he's a real expert, he's done them all over Canada. And I want to ask him any questions, he's here too to answer. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to hear us and consider what it is that may be an opportunity for your municipality. So on the first index, which I guess will be a couple of slides back, just to sort of roll through what we'll talk about today. Oh, you've got it there too, great. Prior to this, there'll be, we'll talk a little bit about the project description itself, and and then we'll, this is the map, of course, of the subject area that we're talking about in Southwest Middlesex. We will look at the sort of overview of the connection to where you would connect to the Hydro One grid if the project proceeds. We would talk a little bit about the landowner consents and the cooperation that our land agents found here, just as I did with my neighbors in Adelaide Metcalf, where I am, and even my friends on the other side of the county line in Brook Ellinston. The option lease agreements, we'll talk about those and happy to answer any questions. We'll talk also about how power line routing study works and the connection process. There's a new piece that the province has introduced called the Agricultural Impact Assessment. That's a part of the process that is required when one moves forward with this. And Tanya has had a good look at that and can speak to that. We also, of course, wouldn't do it without, wouldn't propose this without having a proper and strong community benefits agreement. And that is not just the issues of mitigation of the things that will happen when the project is built and at the time of decommissioning, but it is also the cash contribution to the municipality for them permitting the project to proceed. And so that matters a lot to me, and I knew what the standard was in Ontario, and we upped that number for the 3 municipalities that are close to where we are. We'll come back to that. There is indeed a road user agreement, which your CAO Amanda has been, by the way, very helpful. Thank you, by the way, Amanda. Been passed along from a Toronto firm. I read it carefully. It's an excellent agreement. It's really thorough, and it protects the municipality really well. We'll talk about that. So I was delighted about that, frankly. And then, of course, there will be an invitation for First Nation participation and equity ownership as well. Then we'll move to and close off with what the project rollout or timing would look like. So you have some sense of when does it start, what's the bid process with the independent system operator look like, the timing of that, the award winning piece, if you win. It's a competition, of course. And then if you win, how long it takes to get it built and when would it turn on. So we'll talk about all of that. So that's the overview, if I can do that. And then with no further ado, I'll just jump right into it and say, if I may, Ontario's electricity system has got a lot of things going for it that are really positive. We've got a really diverse system in the province, but frankly, we're short. We all know it out here. I sure feel it. Don Trafalgar goes through my farm, and I've been part of that energy business, watching gas, electricity, and now I'm watching this whole move away from natural gas, which I don't fully understand. But the world seems to be moving toward electrification, and probably we're not going to stop it. EVs are here. I don't take any position on them, but they're here. Air heat pumps are here. I've got a few of them. I quite like them, but they're happening all over Ontario, and they are effective for the purposes that they're being put to. And all of that really means simply the demand for electricity is very much going up. So I didn't look at the ISO site today. The ISO is the Independent Electricity System Operator. It operates out of Mississauga. And what that does is they control the operation of the grid. So I didn't look at their website today, but I know we would have been importing today from the States. Might have got some out of Quebec, I don't know. Manitoba has a very thin connection to Ontario, but Ontario itself is short. So that's the opportunity that municipalities have in Ontario, is that some municipalities will be given the opportunity to participate, and it will, of course, be their choice if they want to or not, and receive revenue or not. That's the matrix that we have in Ontario, and I'm fine with it. So I really want to be clear on this. I come to you and offer you the opportunity that I see out there for my neighbors and you as well. And if you choose it, great. If you don't, that's okay. I'm not the least bit offended, but I just want you to be aware of what's out there, because it's an opportunity that all municipalities will have that are probably pretty much with wind anyway, close to the Great Lakes. Because that's where the resource is. That's where the wind does blow. That's where companies will go. And we are fortunately where we are in between Erie and Huron. And the towers are sufficiently high that they will capture the wind at that level, and the resource is good. So we're, if we didn't think it was, we wouldn't be wasting your time. So that's where we are for that. So we know we're short of electricity in Ontario. We know we're importing. We know we've got a load growth here that is going to go up. Some say 75%. I've seen a year or two ago, people said it could even be 3 or 4 times as much. I don't believe that, but I definitely think we are probably in the range by 2050 of doubling. So we all know who are in the farm business or the community that things take time. They take time to build. And in the case of electricity facilities, let's just talk about it. Wind will take minimum 3 to 5 years to build. A gas plant, really, you could do it on an emergency basis in 6 months. We've done that before, about 25 years ago when we were short. A nuclear plant will take 10 to 12 years. A hydraulic water plant will be like minimum 12 years to get built. And we're not doing any more coal. That's, as you know, all done, and it's partly what's driving all of this. So these are what we call long lead times for those other ones that are like 5 years plus. And for wind, it's one of the fastest things that can be built, as can be solar. But we all know that they're intermittent, right? They're not push a button and they're on demand. So they need to be backed up by something, and they need to be in a mix. And Ontario does have a decent mix, but we're short. So we do need to build more. And I just want you to be aware that this is not just one party coming out and saying it. It's everywhere. And I urge you to look at the links that are on the document. Please have a look at, this is happening all over North America because of the electrification and because of the lack of investment that, for whatever reasons, we're not going to be here to criticize the political masters, but they really were not investing as needed to be invested in earlier. And so we're short.
Jim, I just want to interject for a minute. We have a procedural framework that delegations are 10 minutes. We're going to ignore that today.
I'm sorry about
Council's not offended by this. Okay.
I apologize.
No problems at all. No, I just looked at the clock there and it's ticking away. And I know you haven't really gone into the meat of the subject yet, but Council, is okay if we extend that 10 minutes? I see that's nodding. Go ahead. You're good. Okay. We'll give you 20 minutes. Okay.
So 10 more minutes.
Don't worry. We'll double it. Okay.
Oh, that's good. My dad taught me how to speak faster. We're crazy. I'll do that.
Thank you.
So let's just jump ahead. You know about the system now. Excuse me. And so there is a competitive process. The competitive process is run by the ISO, which is an agency that you may want to look up on the internet that runs the grid. And we want to participate. That's going to start in October on the 16th. If this council is at all interested and we're to move toward a municipal support resolution, that's what you do. And so that takes us then to, you've already seen the map, it's on the screen. The next map is one showing the connection points that are there. Southwest Middlesex is kind of special, really, because you've got, you're close to a lot of transmission lines, and you particularly could be close to the Longwood TS. You're not far from there, and that's one of the locations we would be looking at connecting. So I'll just move to the next, which is of the landowners, and I'm not sure that it's 17 landowners, so that number at the top of our page 9 is more that there's 17 turbine sites, okay? And there may be a landowner that owns more than one. I would ask Jim if he could think about that for a bit. But in any event, there are 17 sites on that map that was prior, and those landowners are sophisticated, capable people, and they've made a decision that they would like to host a turbine if they're given the permission to do so by this municipality. And that is indeed one of your roles, is to evaluate that and make that decision. We are going to hold those landowners whole. So to be perfectly clear, they are not going to be paying any more taxes themselves, but the company will pay any taxes that arise as a result. So the landowner doesn't bear any of that at all. Other things that matter a lot to my neighbors over in Adelaide Metcalf was if tiles are disturbed, the landowner gets to pick who the tiling company is that he or she wants to have use that and fix that tile. And the landowner, I'm insistent on with whoever is going to team up with us with a deep balance sheet to build this project, they've got to listen to where the landowner would want the road. The landowner knows the farm. The landowner knows where that road should go, and that's where the road will go. And the other thing I don't like about some of these installations is the flashing lights. So there are ways around that now. There weren't 20 years ago, but there are now. You can get radars that shut them off. You can put shields on them, and we will be working with the buyer of the project with us. We are an early stage developer, and we will, as I think from the materials as you've seen, be bringing in a large partner with a deep balance sheet, in the billions that can handle the project and never have a problem financially, because that's how that all works in this business. So I think we've provided to Amanda a copy of the option lease agreements, which all the landowners have seen, signed, taken their time to evaluate and assess, and they've had a chance, of course, to ask us any number of questions and take as long as they wish, but they have indeed signed up for that. You've seen the power line that we're going to connect to, and you also, of course, have the map and seen the distribution of the different sites. So those will all have to be connected. Usually that's done in municipal road allowances pursuant to the road user agreement that your council and staff have been provided. And we're happy to come back at some point if you'd like and explain more of that, but I'm sure your staff can do that with you. I've already touched on this agricultural impact assessment, which is the province's way of protecting municipalities and particularly the landowners to make sure that everything has been considered to the extent possible about impacts on ag land. And this is the best ag land around, of course, in southwestern Ontario. This is great land here. So the province is very cognizant of not wasting land or space. On the community benefits agreement, let's just jump right to it because that's a part of it. How we looked at that was, we said right off the bat, the community deserves, if it's going to have this inconvenience, which may be at times, of a wind project in the area, they should be compensated for that. So other projects do so less, but I suggested that it be $300,000 for every 100 megawatts. So you currently have 17 proposed turbines at 6.1 megawatts each. That's 104 megawatts. So you're over the 100 megawatt mark, which means you would get $370,000 a year, indexed at 2%. So by the end of year 20, which is what the contracts will be, you'd have almost $450,000 a year coming in. So and it just goes up like that from year 1 to year 20. Yes?
How many windmills is that based on?
That's based on 17 windmills on those 17 sites. Yes, sir. So there was some consideration of the province going to a 30-year deal, but I'm reminded by finding on my way in here today, it is now set for 20. But I would want you to know at council that the ones that are already 20 years old are all being renegotiated now with the wind companies because the province needs them. So they're all being renegotiated to stay longer, and the prices won't be the same as before. And the landowner ultimately has the choice to say no after the 20 years, so that could come off. The landowner is in charge of that at the end of the term of the contract. I'll just comment again briefly, this road user agreement that you have, your worship, with your councillors is really well done. It's written by municipal lawyers, Toronto, Miller Thompson, you've got it, man. All three municipalities, Adelaide, Metcalf, Port Galveston, have all got it. They tendered it to me. I read it. I didn't have a single change. I was completely satisfied with it. I think it protects our citizens and our municipality the way it needs to be. I've already mentioned to you that we're going to have an invitation to First Nations to have equity ownership in the project. That will happen. And so just quickly, I'll roll out to the project rollout, and you've got a chart in the back of your materials. I can see on some of your screens the colored Gantt chart that's there. And it will show you the number of things that will need to be done in terms of permitting for what's called LT2. It's called LT2 because it's the ISO's long-term second procurement. Okay, so this is the second procurement. It is going to be due on October the 16th. It cannot proceed without your permission. Needs your consent in the form of a municipal support resolution or an MSR. So that's what you got there for that. And I would just say that on that chart, you can see, and I'll end with this, that we would need to put the bid in by October the 16th. You would need to have taken your summer and September, and hopefully not later than October 16th, to say yes or no, if you so choose. And then the contract award will be 6 months later. That's the green block. That's when the ISO will have assessed the system. So they will take all the bids. They will figure out where they need to have the power. They know they need it. Some places need it more than others, okay? And so they got limits as to what they're gonna purchase. And they will figure out where they need it, and that contract award will come in late Q1 or probably more likely Q2 next year. So we're gonna know sometime in April, May likely, where they are with that, and I think that's a no. Then there's the renewable energy approval process that goes on. Those are the 2 orange blocks. So if you win, you get into those 2 blocks, and then you get, if they're satisfied that you have all your permitting done, it's expensive and the rules are strict. If you have it all done, you get what's called NTP, notice to proceed. After that, and only after that, construction would start, and that's what the EPC chart shows you. And COD, sorry about all the acronyms, Georgia, but that's called commercial operation date, and that's when the thing turns on. So COD is commercial operation date. And the province needs it by 2029 in order to fit the mix, to keep the lights on, and to hopefully avoid brownouts. So I want to thank you again very much for allowing. I apologize, I didn't know it was 10 minutes.
No, that's
That's
good.
my fault.
No, no problem. I want to thank you very much, and we're certainly going to allow time for questions. I'm sure there will be some. And at this point in time, Council, are there any questions that you would like to ask Peter, Tanya, or Jim? Yes, go ahead, Councilor Bing.
Thank you, Mayor. I know it's Peter and Tanya on the diagram. There's some purple areas that aren't shown as turbines. What are those?
So those would have been people, I asked Jim this the other day, those would have been people who signed, but for some reason Jim couldn't site a turbine on their property. But they did sign and they wanted a turbine, but maybe there was a setback issue, maybe there was a vacant lot. That setback is 550 meters for a residence, so you can't hear anything. Setbacks are 100 meters from a road, 100 meters from a creek, and Jim knows them all by heart. But that's, so yes, the pink is, or the mauve color ones without the triangle. The triangles are where there could be a turbine, and we left them on there so you could see other people that signed, but just couldn't get them.
Okay, thank you. A follow-up question, Councilor Bing, one.
Yeah, some of these here, I know who owns the properties. You mentioned something about this is for local betterment. Isn't it true that a lot of these owners don't even live in the municipality?
So I apologize, Councilor Bing. I don't know the people in your municipality like I do in Adelaide, Metcalfe, or Brookhouse, who I went and saw personally. We used a company here that I know well called Alexco out of London to help us identify parties that were interested. So I'm sorry, but I'm unaware of who lives and who doesn't live on those particular properties. I do know some of the people here, just because they know my friends, the Standards and the Hendricks, but I don't, I apologize, I don't know who it is there.
Just a point of order, we can't discriminate against an individual, whether they have or have not, on where they live. So, you know, it's just part of the business process. We're aware of that. Yeah. Continue on. Is there any other questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes, please go ahead.
How much can each individual landowner expect per windmill?
So, a great question. The starting piece in the contract that you would have is $30,000 per turbine. That is also, as with yours, inflated by a 2% inflation, Bank of Canada, target inflation rate, so 2%. And if my memory serves me correctly, Deputy Mayor, that would be for 20 years, $700-something thousand for that particular one site. And if the government were to extend to a 30-year type deal at a later date, which it may well, it probably will, that would get them up to about $1.2 million per site. So it's, those are the numbers. That helps you?
Yeah, by all means, yes. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor, follow up.
Just on the decommissioning at the end of the 20 years, could you just talk very briefly about the responsibility of that?
Yes. So indeed, there is a license that each operator is given if they win the bid award, and as a condition of that license, they have to have a set aside a decommissioning fund, which the province supervises for everybody. And they have to do the set aside after the initial CapEx is paid. So usually with a wind farm, it takes like 12 years to pay it down at the beginning, roughly. And then after that, that last 8 years, there's a set aside that is put away for decommissioning. And that number is monitored and it's part of a license condition for operations, as I say, that the province supervises. I don't know exactly what that number is, but it will be sufficient to take down everything. And the decommissioning at the end is that you have to take any concrete base of the foundation down to below 1 meter below where the soil is. So that has to be hammered out and taken away, and the soil restored to where it was, tiling restored and so on.
Great, thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Councilor Myers.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. One concern, well, I got a few concerns about this, but it's the groundwater effect here. I've heard a lot of horror stories in other municipalities, and a lot of our rural areas, homeowners have bad water after putting these things in. So, is there any guarantees for that, I wonder?
Well, the best guarantee anybody can have if there even is one. Fair game, I'm on well. I know what it's like, mine went dry. I had to connect and do another one somewhere else, so I know what that feels like. Is that there will be a full-on hydrogeological study done in this municipality, and it's not by us. It'll be by a professional group called like Stantec. Will handle that, and Stantec will go. I've read all the not all, but I've read a lot of what went on in Chatham, Kent, and the concerns and the complaints and the lessons that were learned. And I am actually quite hopeful that Stantec and everybody find the learning curve on understanding the need for hydrogeological studies in advance, water testing in advance, so we know what the quality of everybody's well is, that's anywhere near the neighborhood where it could be affected, and then monitored throughout and monitored after. And anybody who's got a problem with that would have a right to remediation.
Thank you, Council. Any further questions? Yes,
And
go
so that's
ahead.
something that we haven't touched on is a public open house and.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
engagement.
Yeah.
So that's, with approval or after, it's up to you when and if that can happen, but that is and would happen next step. So it's summertime, as you know, virtual, another option is virtual plus, and in-person open house. But municipalities are interested in, so that is the next step. So community come see, poster boards, virtual presentation, whatever is a preference. They can ask questions, speak those questions, and report back to council as well.
That's great.
So that's
Oh.
the next step.
Tanya will accommodate you very well in that. We have excellent facilities that we can host those in,
Thank you.
and don't hesitate to approach staff on that. They'll take you by the hand on that, make sure everything's right. No further questions? Jim, I was just wondering about the depth of the footing on those towers. We see what is above the ground, but we don't see what's underneath the ground. How deep is the footing on that?
It depends on the soil and the type of foundation that would be required through engineering studies for the turbine. The purpose of the foundation is so the turbine doesn't fall over when the wind blows on it. So the foundation is designed to prevent that, keep the turbine upright. But typically around here will probably be a concrete foundation down to about 2 meters,
2 meters.
2, maybe 3, in that range.
Just for the sake of our listening audience, Jim didn't have a microphone. The answer was 2 to 3 meters, depending on the soil type. Good. And Mark, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. Now, I know on Big Bend Road, there's a couple of turbines, and then it goes to Tate Road, that's a long ways apart. How are are these all interconnected?
Yes, Councilor Big, they will indeed be all connected. In the overall project picture, the wires that will connect them would go into the municipal road allowances after they traverse from the farm itself where the turbine is located. So with your permission and working with your road superintendent and your entire process, that would be connected, that's correct, by a wire. And the wires are not the most expensive part of the project, of course. So the engineers will design that web of connection points to a gathering point, and then, of course, they will be connected to the grid for the small station.
Hey, council, we're gonna soon wrap it up. For the courtesy, I'll give one more question.
Can I
Yes.
just maybe clarificate what's not even a clarification? They're not all connected to each other. They're all connected to a trunk line, and then that line goes off the substation. So this turbine over here doesn't have to have a connection to this turbine over here and so forth.
Okay. Over here on my left, we're okay. Thank you very much, Peter. We're pleased to have you and Tanya and Jim here this evening. Our process will be, we will accept this presentation for information, and then we will not sit on that. We will get back to you at our earliest convenience. We'll discuss it. Staff will advise council too on any further concerns they might have, and we'll get back to you on that. But we won't let the grass grow under our feet. We'll get to it pretty quick. Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Council recommendation is for you to receive the report for information. Is there a mover and a second for that? Mark, thank you. Second for that, Dawn. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We have a delegation from Waste Management next, 4-3. Louisa, Senior Manager, we're pleased to have you. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good. You make yourself at home there. We'll get that microphone turned on, and staff might be able to help you there. Yeah. Let's go. Might be a little button on the side. You're okay? Yeah, you're good to go there.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council, staff, and the public. I'm here to provide just an update on where we are with recycling in the province. It's been a decade-long process, and we're almost at the end with this year being the final transition year. So if we go to the next slide, I just want to present kind of where we start. So I'm going to go through some of the blue box amendments going into really what EPR is. There's been a little more publicity because there's some impacts that we're seeing fairly quickly, and just what customer service and communication would look like under that landscape. Next slide. So the next slide actually just goes through all the legislation. So, you know, we've got the blue box regulations under the Resource Circular Economy Act, and we have a regulator, which is called RINFRA. So in the earlier days, blue boxes, municipalities had reached out to request for costing from the blue boxes to come from who produces those materials. So there was a push through Stewardship Ontario and others for cost recovery. So under Stewardship Ontario, there was a 50% cost recovery. And then through further lobbying through associations like AMO and whatnot, municipalities pushed for 100% of that to be covered. So, you know, about 20 years later, we're in a position where now the brand owners or the importers of material will have full responsibility and 100% of the cost. So the municipalities will no longer be responsible for the collection for their residents for curbside. It'll all be borne by the producers. So under that legislation as well, you know, they have kind of designed a system and put out RFPs for specific catchment areas, and I'll go through them in a bit. Even though there's been a 10-year on the regulation, just more recently, June 2nd, they issued an amendment that looks at some changes that I want to go through that does impact the municipality and a lot of outreach, specifically to non-eligible sources in some public spaces and who can and who can't go into the program. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So a lot of acronyms here, but EPR is really extended producer responsibility. It's those that import materials that are responsible for making sure it's recovery. The definition of recovery has changed. It's not just it ends up at a recycling plant and you call it diversion. It actually has to go to an end market, and it actually has to go into a type of reuse. So a lot more attestation and scrutiny into where the material goes, and you won't see hopefully those articles where you're seeing loads into the Philippines and others and on beaches. Ontario has been very stringent on how they look at the regulation, because it's not just targets that these landowners need to meet, it's penalties against those targets. So with all the acronyms, the producer responsible organizations is the lead pro with circular material, and they've really been responsible for how their provincial system looks like. It's in a common collection system, and why that is because Ontario has a multi-pro system here, where maybe Quebec does not, and other provinces do not either. And then RLG is the administrator of the common collection system. So currently, Southwest Middlesex would have a contract with RLG, and anybody else there, they're administrating the sector because of multi-pro. So next slide. What's important to hear, I think, to make sure everybody's aware of the, what is eligible. So typically, you wouldn't see certain schools and some public spaces and even long-term care, but the province has designed a system that includes all of these. So it's your standard curbside. In Southwest Middlesex, you do have a number of businesses in the IVA and others that are in the curb program. But in other areas, you might not see that. What's important for today is that, these non-eligible sources, so if businesses are in the curbside collection program, effective at the end of this year, they will no longer be allowed to be in the program. However, this amendment that I just talked about, that was just recent, after 10 years, that actually opens that up a little bit, and the province will decide on what that final regulation looks like, whether they would consider that or not. In the meantime, municipalities are working on options on what they do with their non-eligibles, right? That starts in January 1st, so there isn't a lot of time. The regulation might not be decided until maybe the fall, is what we've heard with that amendment that's gone through. So a lot of municipalities are planning a little bit ahead so that there's some good offerings for some of the businesses that are currently in the collection. So next slide. Like I said, Circular Materials designed the system, so it took, your 400 plus municipalities and, dropped it into this 30 catchment areas. So, Southwest Middlesex is in the Middlesex catchment area, which is 24. They looked at more of a larger geography to get as much, kind of decent pricing. So you might see into the future crossing over borders, and you take away that municipal borders for cost efficiency. Next slide. What I want to just reinforce as well, that Circular Materials will be in charge of communication as well. So the municipality of Southwest Middlesex is in transition until January, where you'll see a website, and I added just a sample of some that have already transitioned, with Southwest Middlesex that directs residents to, who to call and program information, etc. In the legislation today, there's a number of forms of communication, whether it's social, whether it's print, and other. There is a request in there to limit as much print as possible, so that is one of the amendments that the government is considering. But regardless, they have put together a bit of a portfolio that would be shared with the staff here on what those pieces look like. And then also they are trying to standardize what the communication is to all residents across. So from what we've seen for some of the material, it's pretty consistent with what you see in every municipality. Obviously the goal, meaning that, all materials are standard across the province and collection is standard across the province. So no matter where you live or where you vacation, the future goal after this transition is that all materials and acceptabilities are going to be the same. What you have to look forward to is that there will be additional materials as well. So into the flexible packaging realms and some non-traditional that you might not see in every market. So next slide. So I just put, and this is the final slide, hopefully I kept within your 10 minutes. When you actually transition, so the cost of it, goes and started being born in July 1st, 2023. Where the material goes, it goes to our petroleum transfer site, which is the receiving facility for the catchment area. And obviously no costs on the recycling side. The effective date for the full transition is going to be in January, so that's going to be a very important date to make sure all of the non-eligible pieces are sorted out. And then we act as a subcontractor under that catchment area 24 as well. So obviously one truck, the 5 days a week, none of the services are going to change because we're the incumbent. So that's the summary. I'm open for any questions in particular to your recycling service and the legislation.
Thank you very much, Louisa. Is there any questions from council? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just wondering, what are the options for our local businesses?
So we have discussed that through staff, and upon recommendation, I think we proposed a number of ideas, which is, looking at common collection areas or a separate type collection. All of those are being considered in a potential report that staff has requested that we start looking at.
Waste management would be available for that.
That too was my concern, Louisa. There's a tremendous amount of corrugated cardboard. That's the issue with the business district. I know I was once on the street and I could fill a pickup truck with flat cardboard every week. And that's what we're concerned about, I think, in the business community. But that's good. I'm glad to know the staff are taking that into consideration, council, and hopefully we can come up with a solution on that. Any further questions? Yes, Mark, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. Who's going to decide what is a business and what isn't a business? We have businesses in different areas.
Yeah, so it's really impact definition on how it's shown. There are some multi-use designations, and if there is a business and a home on those properties, what we've seen is, the business, looks to one type of collection and the home gets another. And that's probably why this amendment is open. The consideration is if the businesses are included, at least to itemize that, and that's also being reviewed by staff, is how many are those multi-use. Same thing with the downtown. How do you tell what's a business if you're got an apartment above, etc. Options like, different type of lid on a bin or other are all being considered. The definition is under the regulation on what's considered eligible, which is really not a business.
Well, we have some work to do on that. But thank you very much. If there's no more questions, we will again receive this for information this evening, and we will certainly try to put the nuts and bolts together. Okay? Thank you very much. Council, following the report, there's a recommendation before you to accept it for information. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councilor Myers, Councilor Haggard. All in favor? Carried. Council, we're on the consent agenda. I'll read through these briefly, and if there's any you want pulled, if it's can be handled without complexity, we'll do it immediately. If it is more complex, we'll have to move it to new business. Draft minutes of the council meeting of June 18th. Draft minutes of the committee meeting of May 9th. Draft minutes of the Economic Development Committee June 12th. Okay, we'll take these maybe three at a time. Voucher report, June 2025. First quarter building activity summary. First half of building activity summary. Oh, yes.
Arnie is present if there are any
Oh, it's
questions virtually
Okay.
on either one of the.
All right, okay. Thank you, Arnie. If you're listening, welcome. Council, are there any questions Yes, go ahead, Councilor McGill.
And I'm just noticing in there that overwhelmingly, most of the building permits were agriculture related. And I think there was something like $15 million worth of building permits, and 11 million of them were agriculture related.
Doesn't surprise me. We know what makes the wheels turn in Southwest Middlesex. Okay. Middlesex County Council highlights. Ontario Provincial Police Board Annual Report. Stephen Lussey, Minister of Energy and Mines. Generation Ontario Integrated Plan to build the strongest economy in the G7. And lastly, Honorable Rob Black, Standing Senate Committee on Agriculture and Forestry, report recommendations for the protection of farmland and the conservation of soil health throughout Canada. Council not seeing any of these being pulled from the list? Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to, recommend that we agree with this. Oh, sorry. Maybe I'd like the last one, that we agree with the recommendation, that we make a motion to, support this recommendation.
Okay, is there a second for that? Okay, Councilor Gill. Okay, everyone has understanding of the issue, protection of farmland. I'll call the question, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Okay, council, we have a property matter that does require a committee of adjustment to be formed, so, yeah. Okay, we gotta do that here. So a motion to receive and file the consent agenda. Don McCollum, Ed Myers, all in favor? Carried. Committee of adjustment. We need a recommendation. That's the Council of Southwest Middlesex entered the Committee of Adjustment at 6:52. Is there a mover? Mr. McCollum, seconder. Mr. Hagan, all in favor? Carried. Council will call the Committee of Adjustment together at 6:52. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, the next item is the June 18th minutes that is circulated. The recommendation is that they be received and approved by the committee. Is there any changes or errors or omissions? Motion then to accept those minutes. Councilor McGill, Councilor Myers, all in favor? Carried. Minor variance application A3, 2025, submitted by Suzanne and Brian McGuff, 190 Walker Street. Planner, can you bring this forward to us?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So the only application that we have this evening, again, is for A3 2025 by the LeGuff family. Their property is at 190 Walker Street here in Glencoe. The purpose of the application is twofold. First, to permit a reduced setback of 28 meters from the adjacent CN rail line or railway, where the zoning bylaw requires a minimum of 30 meters. And secondly, to allow for an accessory building that exceeds the permitted maximum size in the R1 zone. So the applicants are proposing to convert an existing detached garage into a secondary residential unit for a family member. To replace the lost garage space, they would additionally build a garage on the side of the structure. While the overall size increase triggers a variance, the larger issue comes from the change in use, being the conversion of the structure from accessory building to a residential unit. This does trigger the 30-meter setback requirement from, or in the zoning bylaw for the R1 zone. And since the structure sits only 28 meters from the rail line, a variance is required. So CN Rail was circulated on the application. They have submitted formal comments opposing the reduced setback. They've referred to guidelines for residential development near rail lines and recommended either a 30-meter setback with a safety berm or that a full development viability assessment be completed if those conditions can't be met. They've also outlined a number of safety and noise mitigation measures that they recommend if the project proceeds, including construction requirements and a easement as well, if the lands are to ever transfer title. In light of CN's feedback, the applicants have reached out to them for further discussion, but have not, while they have received a response right now, they haven't received a response that answers their questions. So they are requesting through a deferral, they're requesting that the application be brought to a subsequent meeting so that they can, look at what they're requiring or recommending and have some sort of game plan in place. So as it is an applicant requested deferral, I am supportive. I would bring back a subsequent planning meeting, which would address the issues from CN and any issues that are brought forward this evening, and provide a policy analysis as well. So I do want to just clarify, the issues under the zoning bylaw, they require the minimum setback of 30 meters. However, that is directly to the rail line. The issue is coming that CN Rail's guidelines, they require a 30-meter setback from the right-of-way. So there is a discrepancy there between what the property line is and where the rail line actually sits. So the applicants are 28 meters from the actual rail line. However, they do not meet the 30 meters from the right-of-way. So we are looking for a deferral this evening, just for an opportunity to have some further discussions, and it would be brought back to a subsequent meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe you're not really a question, it's not a statement, I guess. I spoke with Keith Dickey, who used to work in the municipality for quite a few years, and he remembers this property from when they had the official plan. I don't have the year, it's 2011, but I'm sure of the year. He said that there was 5 or 6 properties that had an exception from being created into the official plan, and he believes that's one of them. So I just want to double check on that.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Schultes, and for that notice. We did, and you also shared that notice with us in advance of the meeting today, so appreciate that. As a result, Erin, on the screen, we did have some chance to look into our zoning bylaw to review any exceptions that were made. We thought the question might come up at the council meeting. And based on our current official plan, we do have nothing related to specific properties, but a note that a safety berm should not generally be required in the case of minor infilling or redevelopment where it's impractical. However, the sentence that precedes that in our existing plan says that safety berms, walls, and fences shall be designed, constructed, and maintained in accordance with the guidelines established by the Railway Association of Canada, meaning the document that was provided at the last council meeting, which requires that 30-meter setback. So there's a bit of a discrepancy within our own official plan. I'm happy to connect with Mr. Dickey directly if he remembers anything specifically on properties, but to date we haven't been able to locate anything. I appreciate the heads up on that. We certainly want to investigate for the homeowners, but we also want to ensure that municipal liability and risk is protected. We did consult with legal on the guidelines when we discovered this discrepancy as well, and the advice we received from our legal advisor initially was that we should and would be advised from a legal perspective and risk perspective to follow the railway guidelines, regardless of whether our bylaw currently has an alternate definition. But the good news is with the deferral, we have some more time to look into it, and the owners have some additional time to consult with the rail line directly. So we're hopeful, hopeful.
I'm sure Keith would like if you just contact him.
Yes, we'd be happy to. Yeah, thank you.
So I think it's, I think all of us realize that there may be some flexibility with the railway and other matters with experience very, pertinent to Southwest Middlesex, with the real line going right through the middle of our community. Okay, there's a recommendation, to defer the report. Is there, if there's no more questions, is there a mover or a second for that? Councilor Embry, Councilor Haggett, all in favor? Carried. Okay. We will accept the motion to adjourn at 7 p.m. Is there a mover or a second? Councilor McGill, Councilor McCollum, all in favor? Carried. We are now in section 7, public meeting. A meeting to consider the McAlpine Drain 2025. Andrew, will you walk us through this, please?
I'll defer to George from Street's office.
Okay, thank you, George. How are you?
Excellent, George. How are you?
Good. I think the last time we met, we were partnering, weren't we?
Yes. Yes, 65th anniversary party we have.
Congratulations on that milestone with your company.
Yes, excellent. So thank you. We were pleased to present our report tonight on the McAlpine Drain 2025. This is a existing municipal drain that was designed to be improved. It just north of the town here on 86, just by Napdale and Old Drive. It was built, I believe, in 1950, so it was quite small and was starting to become in poor repair due to its age. So it was replaced for approximately 920 meters, which is approximately 3,000 feet. Excuse me. The existing drain was about a 10-inch drain. It's now being proposed to be replaced with a 24 and 18-inch drain, so quite a bit larger. And we would be destroying the old drain there so that it was no longer a liability for the farmers there. The total estimated cost of this project is estimated at approximately $241,000, with a fairly substantial cost for underneath County Road number 80 there, because of the importance of that road. We wouldn't want to close that for local traffic. So if there's any questions here, I'd welcome them now through you.
Okay, Council, are you ready? Seeing none. George, I'll consider that your introduction to that subject to council is concluded. And are there any questions from affected property owners about this?
I just got one.
Go ahead, if you could come up and just state your name for the record. Yep, Kendra's got a mic for you right there, there's a red light on it there. Yeah.
Caden Campbell. I just want to make sure, so on the plan, there's 10,000 set aside for supervision of the project.
Yep.
In the past, I've had open ditches, be cleaned out before. I just want to make sure that supervision is like ensured to be done. Like I would have, there'd be a project going on, you have a guy there one day, wasn't there the next day, things kind of get out of hand with the contractor. So I just want to make sure that it's taken care of. We have somebody there looking after the project every day. We have $10,000 set aside for the project. We want it done right. Make sure that somebody's there at all times.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. George, would you like to speak to that, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, so there's $10,000 allowance there. We typically put a number of a typical allowance there, and it's typically on an hourly basis. If landowners are in agreement as a whole, they would like full-time supervision. That is something we don't provide. Typically, we do what's called part-time supervision, which is, typically 3 or 4 hours a day. It allows the contractor to accomplish quite a bit lower off-site, but it also helps us reduce our fees and not have somebody there full-time. So, certainly we can provide full-time supervision if that's what the watershed wishes as a whole. I can typically discuss that at a pre-construction meeting for the project and just to see what people wish, but it just, I'm not saying that that's not a fixed number to provide supervision. It's a estimate of what our time may be, and if we provide less, we charge less, and we have to be there more than we charge the time accordingly. This is a relatively small project. project, it's 920 meters, which with the right contractor could be a week under or under. If that's the case, usually $10,000 would easily provide a full-time supervision, but if we had a contractor who was slower, which we sometimes do, that might be a 3-week project, and I don't know. We probably would still be around that number, it's probably be acceptable, but we would be less if we were on-site less.
Okay, Mr. Campbell, you'll have that opportunity to bring it up again, okay, in the future. There'll be meetings, George, for the property owners in advanced construction, and if you attend those meetings, Mr. Campbell, you'll have that option of bringing your concern up. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. We want to make sure you're heard.
Yeah.
All right, on that, comments from members, is there anyone that would like to add or remove the name from the application, the petition? Seeing none, comments from members of council. You can ask them through the chair to George. Are there any? Seeing none, it's council's opportunity to make a decision on first and second reading of the bylaw. If it is required to pass, the recommendation is that the council of Middlesex and Southwest Middlesex accept the engineer's report in reference to the McAlpin Drain 2025 and refers the bylaw to the bylaw section of the agenda for a first and second reading down the road tonight. All in favor? Councilor Myers, Councilor McDonald, all in favor? Carried. George, thank you. Mr. Campbell, thank you.
Thank you, George.
We are now on to staff reports. So those things, we're going up to that. Chief Administrative Officer, guidelines for new development and proximity to railway operations. Amanda, could you walk us through this?
Yes, through you, Mayor Mayhew, to council. The report before you provides council with a background on the national guidelines for development near railways to ensure safety, noise, and setback standards are met. I'm sure you can see why, given our recent committee of adjustment application. Our bylaw uses, as Aaron said, setbacks from the rail line, not the right-of-way, which conflict with each other. And we believe a housekeeping amendment to our bylaw may be in effect, but we'd like to review it more. This is being brought forward for council information and awareness based on a recent application that may be impacted by these guidelines. There also may be some others anticipated in the future, so we wanted to ensure that council was aware. Then, if approved, the next step for staff would just be to review our bylaws and bring forward any updates needed to be recommended to council. I also note that the guidelines are currently in the process of being reviewed by the Railway, by the Railway Association. And when they are updated, we are recommending a notice be sent to those to the community or directly to those who live along the railways for their information. People may not be aware that there are some guidelines required for development on the railways and like for an education purpose. So happy to answer any questions, but again, the report is provided for information only at this time.
Council, any questions? Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Will this affect any existing properties, or any existing structures?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through the Mayor to you. The guidelines currently apply to all development around the railway. So if any development was proposed adjacent to the railway, these guidelines would be referenced and are required to be referenced by our planners. What I am not certain of is whether any existing development along the corridor conflicts with these guidelines. These guidelines have been updated over time, so it's possible that there are some pre-existing developments that qualify. Yeah, and I'm not familiar with that. We can certainly look into those. Good best planning practices would see these guidelines referenced in all site plan minor variance applications that would be brought forward to the municipality. So that's something we can look into if council has the direction to do so. I hope that answers your question.
That's good.
But I hope there's an element of reason. Food land is right beside the railway track. Our train station is right beside the railway track and Bulldog Motors, very close to the railway track, and XL Diesel. So, I think some element of reasonable grandfathering, I hope, will be achieved. Okay, the recommendation is lengthy. It's been circulated to staff regarding further study and consultation on this. Is there a mover to the staff recommendation? We'll proceed. Councilor Myers, the seconder. Councilor Collin. Any questions? Amanda? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Amanda. And the next 812, annual insurance policy renewal. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, through you to council. The report before you provides a recommendation to renew the municipality's 2025-2026 insurance policy with Intact Insurance for a cost of $348,391, effective as of June 1st, 2025. Obviously, it's being brought to you a little late, so apologies for that. The cost premium increase from year over year from last term is 6%. Based on estimates and our discussions with our insurer in advance of the renewal term, we had budgeted for 9%. So there is room in the budget to cover this increase, and it is consistent with market trends, just in the insurance market as well. A full policy review was completed as part of this process, so we have made sure all of our equipment and schedules were up to date with the insurer. And we will continue to monitor and inspect our facilities with Intact to ensure we continue to reduce our risk profile year over year as much as we can. So the recommendation is to approve. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Council, thank you, Amanda, for that. Any questions? Yes, go ahead, Councilor McGill.
Yeah, through the mayor to Amanda. It says that our insurance broker is Core Insurance. I thought our insurance broker was McFarland Rowlands.
Thank you, through the mayor to you, Councilor McGill. No, our insurance broker is Or Insurance, and I understand has been for a few years. I believe our previous chief administrative officer had made that change during their tenure. I did have a discussion with them about the change and with our former insurance broker from McFarland Rowlands. And our contract with Orin Intact is in place for a few more years, so I suggested we should keep it as is now, as we don't have any concerns with the service. But that would be reviewed at the time of our insurance policy renewal.
Yes, follow.
Yeah, now that was brought before council. It was a local person that was our insurance broker. Now we have a different insurance broker. And I have no idea why. So I don't think that should have happened, but it was with our previous CAO, I guess.
Well, me, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you. I just have to say, I agree with Councilor McGill. That was the council decision. The CAO made that decision on his own. And I would really like to see our previous insurance broker have the opportunity to bid on this, especially with the increase.
Yes, Amanda, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, to Deputy Mayor and Councilor Bill. So my understanding is, so I did do some extensive research upon this also being brought forward to me by a member of council previously about changing brokers midterm. And I think it's very rare to do that, especially if your service is not in question, which it is not with Or Insurance. my understanding is also that it would not make sense to RFP our insurance, because our provider is intact for 5 years, my recommendation is to wait until our term is up, which I think is in the next year or two. I have had direct conversations with Mr. McFarland from Rollins, McFarland and Rollins, and I would suggest that be something we could bring in the future. I cannot speak to what decisions were made before my time, but I have reviewed it. That's my recommendation. If council wishes for more information, I'm happy to take direction, bring a report, or investigate further.
Yes, Councilor Hagan.
Well, I remember this, and there was a substantial savings, and that's why it went that way. It was my understanding at the time.
That was mine as well.
So that's how that came about.
It's, I think, decisions have to be made in the best interest of the municipality, is the objective, I think. Insurance, can be a delicate subject. From the chair, the 6% increase, I think, is competitive, to industry standards, majority are 10, even higher. So, it is competitive, but, I think, changing horses in midstream may not be in the best interest of the municipality. It will be brought, to council's attention, in the future, on the anniversary of this insurance policy, and we can have a very wholesome discussion on it at that time. But I think you're putting the municipality at some risk by introducing the subject right now. Certainly open the floor for any of the comments. Yes, go ahead.
I agree with what you're saying, Mayor, but how can we be sure that we're going to be informed in time to tender the next time?
Because our CAO has told us that she would inform us, and that's how we know. Yes. Go ahead, Councilman McGill.
Our insurance for the last couple of years has really gone up a lot. This 6% is a smaller increase than, I believe, the previous 2 years, so, but I can see our CAO's point, and, I know she will, in terms of this insurance broker is up, she will inform us of what we can do from then on.
And, your words that you chose, that our insurance is going to consider more than it has, but the market's rate has gone up considerably as well. It's not just us, it's all municipalities. Okay, there has been no motion on the floor for that. The speakers that objected to this, I did not see a motion come forward, so we can move on. Okay, the recommendation is there. I need a mover and a seconder for that. Mover and a seconder. Councilor Cole, Councilor Haggett, all in favor? All opposed? Carried. Okay, Four Counties Hospital grant request. Amanda, can you give us a background on this?
Thank you, Mayor. May I hear you through you to council. As part of the council grant process, the Four Counties Health Services Foundation requested $10,000 to support the purchase of a portable ultrasound for emergency bedside care. However, we have confirmed that unfortunately the review and discussion of this particular council grant request was missed during our budget deliberations. So it was not included. Remember the presentation with this slideshow? This allocation request was just not included based on an administrative error. However, on the flip side, the $10,000 was that was requested was unintentionally carried over from the 2024 budget and is included in the approved 2025 budget. That being said, staff certainly doesn't want to make an allocation or make any assumptions about council's intent, as council had not had the opportunity to review the specific grant request and make decision on this. Therefore, this is being brought to council for direction on whether there is a wish to approve the grant or not. I will note that prior to 2024, the municipality did have a 10-year, donation commitment to the FCHS, which did end in 2024. And so that's a total of $100,000 the municipality has already gifted through that donation to their work. And also that municipal support to hospitals was trending 10 years ago, but it is also not a municipal jurisdiction in the Municipal Act. So some municipalities have moved away from those allocations. That's just for your information. I will note that if the allocation is approved, there are no budget changes that are required. And if it is declined, the funds will just remain unspent and be carried over in our year surplus and reallocated in the future years. So happy to support any questions and hoping for some council direction.
Thank you, Amanda. Council, who wishes to get engaged in this? Councilor McGill first, followed by Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'll move that we give $10,000 in 2025 to Fort County South Services Foundation, and I'm really glad that Fort County's hospital is there. I was going to say in Southwest Middlesex. It's not really in Southwest Middlesex. It's in Newbury, but it's surrounded by Southwest Middlesex.
It is. Yeah. Second on that, Mark, thank you very much. Good. Councilor Schultes, any questions? All right. Any questions? All in favor? Carried unanimously. You've got your direction there. The quarterly report from our CAO has been circulated. Amanda, thank you very much again for doing that. It's really appreciated. Are there any questions you would like to ask Amanda through the chair? Seeing none, the recommendation is before you. That Southwest Middlesex received the report dated July 16th, prepared by the CAO. Quarterly status report. They're moving a second. Councilor Hagan, Councilor Myers, all in favor? Carried. Okay, we're at 8.2. Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong with some of these assumptions I'm going to make. Point, there are none. Finance, none. Public Works, 8.4.1. Oral, thanks for being with us tonight. McMaster Place streetlights. This is a conversation we've had circling around the table before, so maybe we can bring it to a conclusion today.
Yes, thank you. Through the Mayor and Council, this report regarding McMaster Place streetlight capital project. Following resident concerns, Council directed staff to facilitate a petition to be determined to support the streetlight installation on McMaster Place. The petition results were 8 opposed, 2 in favor, and 2 did not respond, meaning roughly 66.7% of property owners support the project. Now, based on the petition, it's recommended the project be deferred at this time. $65,000 was approved for this project in March of 2025. It's recommended these funds be transferred to reserves for future consideration. Here, available to answer any questions Council may have.
Any discussion, Council? Yes, go ahead, Councilor Mink. Councilor Hagan, I think it's fine again.
Just
Thank you, Mayor. I had a little discussion with one of the ratepayers there. What is the policy for Southwest Middlesex as far as urban areas?
Currently, we use the design standards. So anytime there is a new subdivision being built in an urban area, it does require streetlights. At the time of that construction, I'm not sure what the standard was, because that subdivision doesn't have curbs, gutters, sidewalks, or streetlights. So I'm not sure if the standard included streetlights at that time. But moving forward, anything new does require streetlights, sidewalks, curb, and gutter.
And that being said, Martin, that's not a municipality's expense, it's a developer's expense. Okay, recommendation is before you. Any further questions? Chair will entertain a mover and a seconder for that.
I'll go ahead.
Councilor Myers, Councilor Hagan. Last call for questions. All in favor? All opposed? Carried. And on to wastewater system updates regarding the Victoria Street sewer pump station upgrades. Go ahead with 842 Morrow. Walk us through that.
And through the mayor and council, this report presents the tender results for the Atlantic wastewater system upgrades for the Victoria Street's sewage pump station upgrades. We received 5 bids. The tendering process complied with all municipal procurement policy for goods and services. The recommended tender is within budget. Staff recommends awarding the tender to Burnham Excavating Limited, and I'm available to answer any questions that council have.
Council, we know that this is an important part of our infrastructure. Are there any questions? I think we just squeaked under budget on that one, didn't we? Yeah. Close, yeah. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Soltis.
Just wondering when this work will kind of ends.
Through the mayor, that's a very good question. So once the project gets awarded, we'll issue the award letter to the contractor. They'll be required to order all the supplies and parts. And I did pose that question to the project engineer. He's anticipating between 2 and 3 months before, once everything gets in.
So this fall.
We're planning to start again this fall, probably within 2, 3, assuming that all the supplies come in that are ordered. Unfortunately, they can't order all that until we give them the award.
Yes, go ahead.
New Yarmouth development by the Public Works Garage there is on hold for this upgrade.
That's the project beside
Beside the Public Works Garage, I
Yeah,
guess
so-
we kind of put it on hold until we had some work done.
It's actually, we've kind of put all those major projects on hold because of the capacity issue, until we have the upgrades done to the force main and the pump station.
Once the pump station's done, we'll be good to.
Correct.
Thank you.
Take your recommendation. Any further questions?
Actually,
Last call. We'll go for this. Oh,
can
yeah.
I just clarify on that? So once the pump station is done, the force main then has to be connected to the pump station and be activated. So we'll have to make that merger once the pump station's done. So once the pump station's done, then we'll have to make the connection with the force main. Then we're good to go.
Early next year.
That's the plan. Yeah. Assuming everything probably mid-year next year is the goal.
Sounds good. Okay, I think the chair is allowed sufficient time for questioning. Last call. Recommendation is before you. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councilor Emery, seconder. Councilor Hagan. All in favor? Carried. Oral, thank you very much for that. See a section 78 coming up on our agenda. Andrew, if you can walk us through that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a continuation from last council meeting. Last council accepted this request. This is a recommendation to appoint an engineer for this project. This was a result of landowners on the drain within the watershed were unsatisfied with the way in which the drain was working. So to keep things short, I'll just go right to the recommendation that council appoint Street Associates, Engineers and Architects under Section 78 of the Drainage Act from the request from the owner of concession Gore Lot 14 for the reconstruction and improvements of the Niagara branch drain formerly of Eckford Township. I'm here for any questions.
Okay, council, the opportunity's been granted to ask any questions on Section 78. They're ready to have one. Okay, well, the recommendation is before you that the Street Associates under Section 78 of the Drainage Act for reconstruction and improvements of the Niagara Drain be had. Is there a mover and a seconder for this in the process? So move to second for that. Moved by McCollum, seconded by Haga. Questions? All in favor? Carried. Andrew, thank you very much for that. Turn the page, so we got the Downey drain, section 78 for the request in there.
Thank you once again. This is similar to the other one. This is a continuation from a couple months ago. There was a request for a bridge replacement under section 78 and also a clean out. But since the engineer's report that we have on file is quite old by drainage standards, a lot of the watershed has changed significantly upstream. There's been drains improved and added since 1950, and that's where staff believes that the best course of action is for the bridge to be done under 78 and also an updated maintenance schedule for the drain cleanup as well. And that's go right to the recommendation. The council appoints Springs Associates under 78 of the Drainage Act for the owner of Drain 1 South lots 18 and 19 for the replacement bridge and improvements to the Downey drain, formerly of Middlesex Township. I'm here for questions.
Okay. Martin, go ahead.
Mayor Allen to Andrew, you have, Mayor Allen to Andrew, do you have any idea how big a watershed area we're talking about? Because I'm thinking the lay of the land goes from Wartsville down to this area here. So how would that be handled?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this drain doesn't include the village of Wardsville, it's just to the west. But I can tell you that even though this drain is quite small, it goes from the old number 2 highway to the river, the watershed upstream from there is many thousands of acres. Because most of this watershed is a natural water course, but because the last few thousand meters within the watershed is a municipal drain, the people in that natural water course contribute towards any damage that the water does, and also they're liable for the assessment towards it. So to answer your question shortly, Wardsville isn't involved.
A follow-up, one follow-up, Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. So in other words, it goes to Trillium and Centerville and it goes quite a ways that way.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Okay, clarification has been made. Recommendations before you, council. Is there a mover and a seconder to appoint Spree? Moved by Councillor Mink, seconder. Councillor Hurbury, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Andrew, thank you very much. Community services and facilities, open section, there are none. Fire, none. Building, none. Planning, none. Councillor Myers, notice of motion regarding parking and recreation vehicles. Would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Had a concerned citizen that rides his bike every night and sees 2 trailers on the side of the road, of course, in the parking lot, in the parking area. So one had a for sale sign on it, and there was another one behind it. So I talked to Kendra about this, and we're just going to make an amendment on the parking violations.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. And you'll move that? Is there a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor Shoulders? Questions? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Mink.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. So I'm not quite understanding, are we going to just relook at the whole policy?
No, we're going to, I believe the intent of the motion is for the parking bylaw to be amended with this inclusion. Is the way I understand it, is that correct?
Yes, and a report will be,
And a report.
yes, and a report will be brought back to council highlighting those options for approval. So this provides council staff the direction to review the bylaw with the intent of Councilor Myers' motion to create draft language that would address this motion and bring it back to council for in a report and to draft updated bylaw for council's approval. And then once it's passed by bylaw, it can be moved to enforcement.
Okay. Yes.
And very specifically, what recreation type vehicles we're referring to, motorhomes or ATVs.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can support this. I just wonder what the rest of the council thought about 18-wheelers parked on the side of the road, because I've seen 18-wheelers parked in front of houses and the guy's truck's longer than his lot is wide, I think. Should that be allowed? I don't know.
No, I've seen the triple axle, and even flatbeds with machinery on the park on a residential road.
Yeah, I can support that. We can add that on to the amendment.
Okay, that's okay. So we're, okay, everyone agree with that? Okay. So what we're doing is giving staff direction. All boils down to that. We give them direction. We make the decision. All in favor? Unanimous by council, and I like that. We're unanimous. Okay. We're at correspondence and petitions. There's none. Unfinished business. Martin, do you want to bring up, or new business? We'll bring down unfinished business. There's none. New business. Martin, would you like to bring up the item with respect to the newsletter? And Martin, as the chair, I have to be cognizant of the rules of order. And I know there's some history involved with this, former employees. So give your report, but try to, well, you have to leave the names out. You can't try it. You know, we don't want any past employees' names identified, any individuals that could be recognized. And those are the rules of the chair. But you're certainly welcome to give this report.
I appreciate your rules, Mayor Allen, but maybe the former employee might want to be mentioned. But anyway, the first line here under capital projects, it says the ministry.
Have you checked with the former employer? Did he tell you that he wanted his name?
I just said maybe.
Okay, maybe. So give the chair more respect, okay? All right, thank you. You can proceed with your order, okay?
The Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks ordered the municipality to close the Limerick landfill located at 724 Limerick Road, off 100 applicable work. So I guess I got talking to the lead investigator over this situation. So I have to be careful how I say it. I have to say it's misinformation, although I like to say it's a lot more than that. But anyway, I have 3 articles. So February 7th. Oh, sorry. On February 7th, 2018, Southwest Middlesex Council votes to close landfill site. There was a vote of 5-1. There were 2 people that weren't at that meeting that night. And all the articles are here in the 3 papers. Your local weekly news source you can trust. And so it was not the Ministry of Environment that closed it. It was our Southwest Middlesex Council. And I was the only one to vote against it. And also I'd like to add that that decision is going to cost Southwest Middlesex ratepayers millions of dollars.
Yeah, I was around in 2018. I was not in political circles. And you are correct that it was the past council in 2018. Of course, our staff that we have now were not around in 2018. So in all respect to them, we can't point the fingers at them for making this decision, nor can we expect them to know what those procedures were in 2018. But how do we go forward with this, Amanda? How would you go forward with this?
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew, through you as a Councillor Mick. So I did have a good conversation with Councillor Mick. He did bring forward this concern. I always appreciate that, so thank you. And I just want council to know, certainly, we create the newsletter with the best of intentions to share information with the community. We, for the first time, thought that it would be a good idea to include an update on our capital projects, providing an update on the status and how the money was being spent this year. The information on the order being issued was a simple misunderstanding of our existing staff, and certainly we meant had no intent to change any record or anything like that. So we will note this for future learning, and thanks for bringing it up and the opportunity to publicly correct the error, and we'll just move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. It was, as we all know, a very controversial subject at the time. And, but that being said, there were some serious compliance issues with Limerick as well that we all know about. Okay. Thank you, Councilor Mick, for bringing that to council's attention. Okay, no items were removed from the consent agenda, no addendum items or other business. Council comments or county council conference updates have been circulated. Announcements, are there any? Yes.
It's so unusual for me, I know. I just wanted to introduce Denise Williamson as our Manager of Finance and Treasurer with the municipality. Really grateful to have Denise on our team, and she started a couple of weeks ago, just over, yeah. So we're grateful to have her on our team, and I wanted to point out Denise so council knew the new face at our table is our new Manager of Finance and Treasurer, and we look forward to working with Denise in the future. So thanks for that.
Okay. Thank you very much. I can scratch that off my agenda.
Oh, sorry.
The same thing on there now, but just I'll reiterate, Denise, that we're delighted to have you. Okay. And we really look forward to working with you. Yes, go ahead, Mark.
For announcements, Middlesex Beef Barbecue is next month, August. I have tickets, but I forgot to bring them tonight, but if anybody wants some, I can get them. And I better not say the date because I might get that wrong too, but there's posters up all over about it, so yeah, it's always a really good meal in Poplar Hill.
Okay. Yeah, they have a huge pavilion there. They call that in. They can accommodate, I think almost 500 people.
A lot more than that,
Yeah.
some years.
Yeah. Okay, any further announcements? Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
You better not forget it's Target Day weekend.
It is, yeah, forget that. There'll be activity on the street.
Lots going on.
Yeah, lots going on. I know it's kept our staff busy, and I certainly appreciate the engagement of our Southwest Middlesex employees in that. It's all based on a volunteer basis, and it's nice to have the help from the municipality. I know members of committees really enjoy that. Okay, council, is there any objection if we adopt the bylaws before we go into closed session? Just to make things go smooth, okay, then we don't have to worry about delegations coming back and staff, retaining staff longer than we have to. The bylaws are before us, and I remind council that there is an inclusion, bylaw 17.4, a bylaw to set the tax rate of Southwest Middlesex. That was circulated to staff earlier this afternoon. So the recommendation is the council of municipality of Southwest Middlesex give a first and second reading to bylaws 2025/72 and adopt the bylaws 2025/73, 25/74 as listed below. 17.1, a bylaw being a provincial bylaw to provide for drainage work, being the Kelvin drain. 17.2, a bylaw being prepared to appoint a municipal treasurer, Williamson. And 73, a bylaw being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council, and the addition council was sent a bylaw to set the tax rate of Southwest Middlesex, as happened in the previous meetings. Is there anyone that would move these bylaws first and second reading? Councilor Myers, yeah. Second for that. Councilor McCullough. Questions at all? Yes, go ahead, through the chair.
Just about see the 30%, 30%, 35%. What is our tax rate for this year? What are we approving?
I would ask, thank you for that question, Deputy Mayor. I'm going to ask to defer that to Denise. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Schultes, to the Mayor. Our tax rate for this year for the residential rate is going to be, the mill rate is what some people call it, is going to be 0.01039312. And then our overall tax rate is going to be, our levy increase is 5.956%. Our tax increase is 4.8674% over last year. And the blended tax rate increase is 4.1975 over last year.
That's the blended. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Denise.
I noticed that.
Okay. There's an understanding of the bylaws, I take it from council, and Chair will entertain a recommendation for a mover and a second for the recommendation. Councilor Schultes, seconder.
We already have that.
Oh, we got it? Okay, all right, great. Okay, I'll call the question as council. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're gonna go back into closed session, just giving you a chance to make sure we didn't miss anything here. We're good. Okay, motion to go into closed session. I'll expand on that pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001. That the regular meeting of council of Southwest Middlesex be temporarily adjourned at time 7:46 to prevent the holding of a meeting in closed session for the purposes of exemptions pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001. It is in there, section 239, and pursuant to section 2392. Is there a mover and a seconder for this? Councilor Haggett, seconder for that. I'm sorry, Councilor McCollum. All in favor? Carried. We'll allow Kendra to